The news that stays all around the world have been waiting for has finally been confirmed. Stray Kids IN and Stray Kids leader Bang Chan have both been announced as official luxury brand ambassadors. It was just announced that IN is the new brand ambassador for Bottega Veneta, and then Bang Chan was just announced as the new brand ambassador for Fendi. And honestly, I feel like both announcements were a very long time coming. It was very imminent. But it's actually interesting because the timeline and the journey of both announcements and both of them becoming brand ambassadors is actually pretty similar. So I want to talk about that a little bit. And I also want to talk a little bit about the brands and how I feel like if they match the brands they're ambassadors for, and just the overall aesthetic and vibes of the brand in general and what we can kind of look forward to. But before I get into all of that, make sure to subscribe to Fashion Alt if you want to stay updated and learn all about the worlds of K-pop and fashion. We seriously have to cheer for IN because his journey to becoming a brand ambassador has been quite the lengthy one, you guys. Like, it was actually so lengthy. And honestly, shout out to Bottega Veneta for finally confirming it, you guys. So just to take it back a little bit, do you guys remember the phase where IN was kind of working with Alexander McQueen, like he attended some shows for Alexander McQueen. So the thing with that was that, okay, so he was working with Alexander McQueen, he was like developing a relationship with the designer at the time, which was Sarah Byrne, he was attending the show, like this was back in 2023, by the way. So he was doing all that, and then at some point, Sarah Byrne left, the creative director of Alexander McQueen left the brand. So that was kind of like, yeah, like that kind of just made it go left a little bit, and then there was like a new designer, and then for whatever reason, I feel like Alexander McQueen and IN kind of just fell off because, I don't know, like Alexander McQueen was kind of doing their own thing and they were transitioning between designers, and it was just, I don't know what was going on with that. It just really never went anywhere, and I feel like IN was kind of just over Alexander McQueen from that point on, right? So from there, after the whole Alexander McQueen thing, he started working with Bottega Veneta a little bit. He attended the show at Bottega Veneta, and he also like wore Bottega Veneta to some press events, which looked really good on him as well. So he attended the Bottega Veneta show, and he looked great in the show, and then he was kind of developing the relationship with the creative director of Bottega Veneta, which is Matthew Blasi. And then, unfortunately, the exact same thing happened at Alexander McQueen at Bottega Veneta, which was the designer, Matthew Blasi. He left Bottega Veneta to go to Chanel, which is like a whole other thing. I'll talk about that in a different video. But so anyways, the designer for both brands that IN has been working with, like, and developing a relationship with, like, are suddenly gone. So he's back to square one with both brands. But thankfully at Bottega Veneta, he's developed a relationship with the brand. And even though they have a new creative director now, her name is Louise Trotter. She's coming from another brand named Carvin. So there's a new creative director. And I was actually surprised to see that during this kind of transitional period, that they announced IN as a new brand ambassador for Bottega Veneta, because Louise Trotter hasn't even shown her first collection for the brand yet. So we don't really know what the vibe of the brand is going to be yet under her creative direction. But yeah, typically, you know, like I find that a lot of these K-pop idols or like any celebrities really, when they develop a relationship with the brand, a lot of it has to do with the actual designer and the creative director at the time, which was Matthew Blasi. So for him to leave and then kind of like go to Chanel, and then Bottega Veneta was kind of like in this kind of period where they had no designer and they had a new designer. So for them to still like appoint him as a brand ambassador for Bottega Veneta was a little bit surprising to me, but I'm happy about it, to be honest, because I feel like his work, IN's work with Bottega Veneta up until that point was pretty good, actually. I really like it. I really like Bottega Veneta as a brand, or what it was under Matthew Blasi at the time. Who knows where it's gonna go, but I'm sure it'll be fine. But yeah, so anyways, it's been a long time coming to go from develop a relationship with Alexander McQueen and that somehow kind of flopping, and then doing this whole thing with Bottega Veneta, and then like it kind of went left a little bit. Things were a little bit shaky when Matthew Blasi left the brand, but anyways, it all worked out in the end. And then I was actually very happy to see IN announced as an official brand ambassador for Bottega Veneta. So currently, he's a brand ambassador, and the thing is, also, they have another brand ambassador. They have RM from BTS, who was announced as the brand ambassador right before RM enlisted into the army, and that was under the creative direction of Matthew Blasi as well. So I'm not really sure on what's going on with that. I feel like by the time RM comes out of the army, like I just feel like, he could continue with Bottega Veneta, but also I just feel like it's gonna be like over, you know what I mean? I just feel like he's gonna move on, and like I feel like too much has changed at Bottega Veneta. So currently it's looking like IN from Stray Kids is like the only active K-pop idol ambassador at Bottega Veneta at the moment, right? Which is honestly, like, I feel like I said, I'm like happy about it, but I'm also like very, I don't know, I'm kind of like nervous about it because one, I feel like when IN was developing a relationship with Bottega Veneta, it wasn't it was with Matthew Blasey, right? And he's gone now. So this new designer, Louise Trotter, I don't really know if they have like any kind of existing relationship, and I don't know how much she's going to be incorporating Ian into like this whole like communication strategy at Bottega Veneta, or like maybe like there's just too much going on and she has to focus on the collection so that she won't get a chance to really incorporate him that much, or whatever the case may be, you know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know, like that's kind of the hard thing when there's like a designer changeover at a brand, and like there's existing ambassadors or like ambassadors that were like appointed like before like the new designer. It's kind of like you just never know how it's going to work out, because maybe, I don't know, for whatever reason, I don't want to jinx and be like, oh, well, maybe like this and that, but I don't know, maybe like Ian isn't going to be isn't going to be aligned with the vision that Louise Trotter has for the brand, and she doesn't incorporate it. But the opposite could also be true, right? Like Louise Trotter could maybe she's a stay, honestly. Maybe she's a stay. She loves Ian, and like she's really going to utilize Ian to really communicate her new vision for the brand. And yeah, but also we don't really know what her vision for the brand is going to be yet, because she hasn't showed a collection yet, which she's going to show a collection apparently very soon. So I'm excited to see that. I'm excited to see whether Ian is going to attend the show for that, which I think will be great, because Bottega Veneta didn't show this last Men's Week. So the next upcoming one will be Louise Trotter's first show for the brand. And I'll be interested to see to what extent. I feel like the first show is really going to confirm the relationship between what's going on with Ian and Louise Trotter and Bottega Veneta in general as like a whole kind of thing together, right? But yeah, in terms of right now, I feel like Bottega Veneta is kind of, it's a good brand for Ian, honestly, because I feel like Bottega Veneta right now is it's being received very positively in the world of fashion. I feel like the fashion like world loves Bottega Veneta, and the general like population likes Bottega Veneta as well, right? So it's like a good brand to be at. I feel like there's good exposure. I feel like it's a brand where a media has a lot of coverage on the brand, right? So like there's a lot going on, there's a lot to look forward to, and it's cool to represent a brand that I feel like people perceive as cool or like really good and like doing great things right now at the moment. So yeah, like I'm excited about that. Like I said, it's kind of hard to tell what the new vibe is going to be, if there's going to be a new vibe. But as the way things are looking, I'm kind of here for this. Honestly, I'm kind of into it. I'm kind of looking forward to it. It's probably one of the most, I wouldn't say like surprising announcements, but one that I feel like I'm eager to see where it's actually going to land, because I feel like, I don't know, like this is just one of those things where like it's so uncertain, where it's like, not that it hasn't happened before, but I'm just very curious to see what's going to happen, or how it's going to all unfold. You know what I mean? I could either really blow me away, or it could be a flop, you know, who knows, but I'm very excited to see it. You know what? Bang Chan's whole journey and timeline of becoming a Fendi ambassador or like a brand ambassador for a luxury brand is oddly similar to Ian's journey as well, because, okay, do you guys remember when Bang Chan was kind of working with Givenchy a little bit? He was working with Givenchy, like he was wearing Givenchy a lot, doing this and that. He wasn't like to the extent where he was like really like on the verge of becoming a brand ambassador or like attending a show or whatever, but he was doing a lot with Givenchy. I feel like he was wearing Givenchy a lot, repping Givenchy a lot, and then I'm sure he was trying to develop a relationship with Givenchy and the designer at the time, which was Matthew Williams, and then at some point Matthew Williams left Givenchy, and I feel like from there the whole Bang Chan and Givenchy thing kind of fell apart, similar to the way Ian's thing with Alexander McQueen kind of flopped right after the designer left. So yeah, like Matthew Williams had left Givenchy at the time, and I talked about this in like a previous TikTok video or like a YouTube video, I don't remember, but anyways, after that it kind of just flopped, and it was kind of like, yeah, like kind of disappointing in a way, because I did think Givenchy was cool, and then from there he started working with Fendi a little bit, and then more and more and more. I feel like this whole journey with Fendi has been ongoing for a pretty long time now. Like he attended a show, he's been wearing Fendi a lot, he's been repping the brand a lot, but the thing with Fendi is that they're kind of going through a transitional period as well. It's so funny, like all these designers are like leaving the brand, coming and leaving, coming and leaving. So the current situation at Fendi is that, so they announced Bang Chan as an ambassador, right? And this is like maybe recently, I can't remember if it happened before or after, but Kim Jones, who was the women's wear designer of Fendi, had just recently left Fendi as well. I can't remember which happened first, but either way, right now Fendi doesn't have a women's wear designer. They do have a menswear designer, Silvia Fentorini, she's actually like one of the original family members of the Fendi family that still designs for the brand, which is like actually amazing. So she designs the menswear and accessories and like kids wear or something like that. So she's there, but then currently they have no women's wear designer, and people aren't really sure what's going on with that position, if Sylvia is just going to take over the women's altogether or they're going to appoint a new designer to that position. But all this to say is that Fendi is also going through kind of a transitioning period, which is this is actually like very, very similar to Ian's case, you guys. Like, isn't that so funny? Like, both group members, like, they're kind of going through the same thing as all the brands, but also it's the brands, right? Because the brands keep having designers going in and out. But yeah, so Fendi's kind of going through this transitionary period, so it's kind of hard to ascertain how it's gonna go with Bang Chan, but I feel like at least they still have like a menswear designer, Sylvia. Like Sylvia's holding it down really. Like shout out to her for really holding it down forever now. So she's designing menswear, and then Bang Chan, so far preliminary, it seems like they're really into Bang Chan. They're like really incorporating, they're trying to incorporate, or like I see the vibe that they're going to incorporate him a lot. He's like one of like three or the four other ambassadors. Jeongin from IVE is an ambassador for Fendi as well. And then we also have, I believe Mina from Twice is also an ambassador for Fendi. But yeah, so right now Fendi's going through a transitioning period, right? Another interesting with Fendi actually is that this year, 2025, is their like 100-year anniversary. So I know they're gonna be doing like the uttermost to celebrate the 100-year anniversary. Like that's kind of major, you guys. Like a brand lasting like for that long. Like they've been around for literally 100 years, you guys. Like that's actually crazy. So I'm sure the festivities are gonna go crazy. Like they're gonna be doing a lot, and I'm sure like all the K-pop idol ambassadors are gonna be incorporated into all the festivities as well. But I feel like right now, in terms of the media, in terms of the way the fashion community is looking at Fendi, I just feel like they're kind of just wanting to know who's going to become the new designer. I feel like that's kind of like the overall thing people are wanting to get out of Fendi, not necessarily like what they're going to do for the 100-year anniversary or like what K-pop idol ambassadors they have, this or that. You know what I mean? So right now, that's kind of just like I don't know. I just feel like that's like the bigger thing that people are wondering about Fendi. You know what I mean? So that's kind of like that's kind of, I don't know how to put it. It's just like very, like, that's kind of the situation with Fendi right now. Very transitional for sure. More so than Bottega Veneta, I would say, because at least Bottega Veneta has a new designer confirmed and like she's gonna show for sure. Whereas like on the Fendi side, I just feel like a lot's going on in terms of like the 100-year anniversary. They have no designer. They have to appoint a new designer if they're gonna do that, and then they have to announce when the new designer is gonna show the new collection, whatever. But yeah. Anyways, going back to Bang Chan now, like I'm glad he's going to Fendi. Fendi's like a big brand too, right? Like Fendi's like one of the top brands within LVMH. So like that's like a big, very known brand, which is good exposure for him as well as a brand ambassador. But yeah, like I just feel like the only thing with Fendi is that right now, in terms of the menswear at Fendi, I'm curious to see how they're gonna incorporate Bang Chan because I don't know. I just feel like for Fendi, when I think of Fendi, I can't really imagine a Fendi men's silhouette. Like I can't imagine like what the Fendi man looks like or what the signatures of the Fendi man are. You know what I mean? It's just very ambiguous in that point, in that sense. So it's hard for me to say whether Bang Chan suits Fendi or not because Fendi, I don't personally think Fendi has a strong identity when it comes to menswear or like a very striking identity or one that I can easily place onto Bang Chan or not. You know what I mean? So there's that. Maybe that's like an upcoming opportunity. And also, I'm not sure. So Bang Chan was just announced as an ambassador, and then Men's Fashion Week recently passed, and Fendi didn't show during the Men's Fashion Month for whatever reason. So I'm curious to see if he's going to go to the upcoming show, if Fendi's even going to have an upcoming show, and if Bang Chan is going to attend it. But also, Stray Kids is going on like a world tour, you know, so like that's like a whole new thing as well. So yeah, I just feel like the timing of both their announcements for Bang Chan and Ian is kind of interesting because both of them were announced as brand ambassadors during transitioning periods of the brand, for both brands actually. So there's that, and it's like, then they're going on the tour, the schedule's packed, and Stray Kids is like they're more popular than ever, which is great. And yeah, so I'm just curious to see how much they can be really involved with the brands that they're ambassadors for. I feel like also Bottega is a brand that, going back to Bottega in general, like Bottega is a brand that doesn't really do a lot of like, I mean, they do like celebrity things and activation and stuff like that, but I don't really feel like they do a lot in that sense. Like, they don't do like a ton. Like, for example, like Louis Vuitton like does a ton of things. And then Fendi is also like a brand that I feel like doesn't do like a ton of things, but because this is their 100-year anniversary, I can see them doing a ton of things, but also like, it's kind of just like, I don't know, it's kind of more ambiguous in that sense because they don't have a designer, blah, we don't know what's going on with all that. But yeah, like I just feel like I'm excited. I actually am very excited for them to both be brand ambassadors. I feel like, I talked about this before, I feel like for a long time, I had never really felt like their level of fame matched their involvement with fashion. I feel like for their level of fame, Stray Kids is like one of the most popular groups right now. I feel like they weren't really involved in fashion as I would have expected for someone of that popularity of group would be involved in fashion. Do you know what I mean? Because we did have Felix from Stray Kids as well become like the Louis Vuitton ambassador, and then we had Jeongin become the Versace ambassador, but it was only them so far, right? And I talked about this before, so I keep saying that, but I talked about how I always felt like Stray Kids was lagging in terms of being involved in fashion compared to other groups. Like they were always, I don't know, I just feel like they weren't really focused on fashion. And I feels like recently it all happened like very quickly. Like honestly, like if we think back, actually like Stray Kids, like Felix only became ambassador of Louis Vuitton in 2023. Like that was like not that like very long ago. And then did a lot with Louis Vuitton last year. And then like it was only this year that Stray Kids, Bang Chan, and Ian became ambassadors too. And like look at Ian, he's been like working in fashion or like working adjacent to fashion for like 1.5 years, 2 years now, you know what I mean? And like it only happened now. So now we have Bang Chan, and then we have Ian, Hyunjin, and Felix as the brand ambassadors, and then the other members of the groups, like they're not brand ambassadors yet, but some of them have been involved in fashion. Like Lino went to like a Gucci show, but Gucci is like a whole total mess of its own right now, so I'm not going to talk about that until like another video. And then yeah, and then we have Summon with Loewe, and Loewe is also another brand that people are speculating the designer's going to leave. So I don't know what's going on with that. But anyway, so Stray Kids, they're in a good position right now. Like half of their members are brand ambassadors. They're more involved in fashion. And I feel like this is actually, I actually do feel like this is a lot because of the Met Gala. I feel like the Met Gala really exposed the group to the fashion industry in a way that they had not been exposed to before in terms of industry people. I feel like industry people saw Stray Kids at the Met Gala and they were like, oh wow. And then like they also saw the power of the fandom, the Stray Kids fandom, you know what I mean? So they're probably like at that point, they were like, oh, like we have to get really involved with Stray Kids at some point. But yeah, I also do feel like if Bottega Veneta and like Fendi had not stepped it up and done something quickly, like another brand would have snatched them up, because right now I feel like I said, like Stray Kids is probably the most popular group, and it's just like, you know how like these fashion people are, these fashion businesses, like they're always trying to scoop up the popular people, you know what I mean? If they don't scoop them up, somebody else will. So yeah, that's the current situation with Stray Kids right now. Just want to talk about it a little bit. What do you guys think of all the brand ambassador announcements recently? Do you guys feel like Ian matches Bottega Veneta? Do you guys feel like he doesn't? What do you guys think about Bang Chan? Do you feel like he matches Fendi? He doesn't match Fendi? Whatever the case may be, let me know in the comments what you think about all this. Are you guys happy about this? Or do you guys feel like more kind of like shaky and nervous about it? You know, like be honest, you guys. Let me know in the comments. And yeah, like I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm excited to see what's gonna go on. And yeah, like I said earlier, make sure to subscribe to Fashion Alt if you like videos like this where I talk about the worlds of K-pop and fashion.